What's up? Welcome to a new Apex Academy video. Today we're going to be talking about Shopify. Is it get rich quick? We're going to be talking about the interest that people have had over Shopify over a long time. And more importantly, guys, I want to talk about why so many people fail with Shopify specifically. Now, what you guys are looking at here is a 5-year span of Shopify. So we're looking at it from, today, right? August 2019 of 2021, right? And then all the way 5 years ago to 2016. And I want you guys to notice something here in the Google Trends is that Shopify was relatively, going up. Relatively, we could say slowly or kind of relative. And then out of nowhere, right after the end of the year of 2019, we had a jolt forward. And this jolt forward from here to here at the very top was the reason behind all the get-rich-quick schemes, behind all the get-rich-quick scams, behind all the false ideas perpetuated about Shopify. And I want to talk about why this is important, why this matters a little bit. And you could see here now the trend is kind of moving toward a downward pattern. Now, different than stocks, right? Upward and downward trends and things like that. When we talk about interest trends, this is Google Trends, it shows how much interest there is in a particular niche. Interest trends are not like stock trends at all. So I don't want you to sit here and predict that there's going to be a jolt forward or again. And I'll talk about why this really doesn't matter to the average person, but it does matter on a certain level of basis. So remember how on my YouTube channel, I talk consistently about why it's very, very important to not distract yourself with what people are doing and focus on yourself. And just because somebody's out there claiming that they made 300 grand a month with a special method or 100 grand a month, that doesn't mean that you should just, essentially follow the leader and do what they do and buy into their course and things like that. And the reason why I say that is, and by the way, I want to have a quick disclaimer. I'm not against courses. I'm just against a course that will kind of promise something other than the result of action. And what I mean by that is if you buy a course on how to create banners or how to do photography or how to edit your website, well, those are action-based courses. Those are perfectly fine in my book. But when you talk about a course that's, for example, talks about how to make 500 grand in 30 days, then it's a different ball game. That you're playing with the scams in that area. All right. So that's the first thing I want to be clear. So I'm not against courses. I'm actually pro courses, but there are certain courses you want to take over others. All right. But this jolt right here, guys, from 2019 all the way to 2020 on August and downward. So maybe about roughly right here at the end of, or very close to the end of 2020, right? Very close to that period of time. This was where we had the apex of the Shopify scams. And when I say the Shopify scams, I'm talking about the false ideas that they're putting in people's heads. And this all comes from the YouTube channels that you commonly know today. The very, very large YouTube channels. And I don't mean to blame anybody. I don't want to point the finger at anybody. I'm not here to call anybody a criminal or a scammer. Because honestly, in my book, I don't care what you do, right? But what I'm trying to say here is there are so many people in the world of Shopify. And if you guys look here, the interest more than doubled, right? It started at the bottom here in 2019 at 43, an interest level of 43. And at the top, we're looking at an interest level of 100. So it more than doubled, right? Because double 43 is what? 86. So it more than doubled. Now, when we're talking about more than doubled, the user base that's consistently growing, these are the people who are succeeding on Shopify, finding success and continuing. This is consistent growth. But the people in this area right here, these are the area of people that are told they'll get rich quick. They're sold a false dream, a false reality on the backs of the innocent. And when I say on the backs of the innocent, what do I actually mean? I mean, imagine you're a YouTuber and you get a hold of some screenshots saying you made 30 grand in 15 days or 14 days, and you put out those screenshots and you say, here's how I made, X amount in 14 days. Here's the method that I did. And if you notice on those methods, those YouTube videos that they show, and those blogs and those articles, right, they show things that are very normal that people do all the time. They go on Oberlo, they find a product, they find a nice product, they market it a certain way, they put their website a certain way, and then they create an ad, which is all normal stuff that people normally do, but they get results that are not normal at all. And then what happens is the normal user, the normal viewer, or the reader of that article or that blog post or that video will try it, and they'll be so consumed because they'll say, wow, if this person could do it, then I could do it too, and I could make hundreds of thousands also, right? And they try it their first go around, and they don't make it. In fact, they lose money. And these people, not to mention, are already on a tight budget. They're already struggling. So not to make it worse, but they're already having problems in their financial life. Now it gets worse because they invested a certain amount into this business, right? And they lost it all. They had zero success, not even an ounce of success, So what they do is a portion of those people, a large portion of those people, will hate on it. They'll say Shopify is a scam, Shopify is not real. And, that's not true, because Shopify is literally just a platform. They don't promise you any kind of results. It's just a simple platform that essentially you could create a website on. You could do that with a million other platforms on the internet. There are literally millions and millions and millions of platforms on the internet that allow you to create websites, right? But then you have another group of people, and this is the sad reality, is you have another group of people of this large group who are viewers, who get consumed by this idea that they can become millionaires overnight. And what they do is they buy in more. They have this sunken cost fallacy idea, which they mean that, they feel like they already spent a certain amount, maybe it was $500. They feel like, they should go all the way because they don't want to lose what they've already spent, right? So they continue. They buy the course of that individual, and that individual might sell their course for $200-$300 if you're lucky, but average, you're looking at anywhere from $500 to $1,000, right? And so this entrepreneur, quote unquote, this fake business person is showing most of the time fake results, right? And by the way, guys, they can be, even if you refresh the page, trust me, they can be scammed, okay? The ways are done. They're out there. If you're a programmer, you know what I'm talking about. Just simply edit the HTML code of the inspect element on your browser. But I'm not even going to get too deep into that. But anyways, they fake the results, right? After they fake the results, they're selling a course that has literally, if not very close to the same information on the free YouTube videos or other people's free YouTube videos. Basic, simple stuff like how to buy a domain name, how to hook it up to your Shopify, how to find the right product, all this fake information. But their main Shopify is the Shopify that they sell the courses with. And these are the courses where they're making $1,000, $600 per individual, right? And when you add it up, when you take, for example, a video that goes viral, that makes 50,000 views, right? And you know what? Let's just do the math on this. Let's pull out the calculator, okay? When you look at 50,000 views, right? Let's just say half of the people decide to take action, right? You're looking at 25,000 people decide to do it. Let's say out of that 25%, or 25,000, half of those individuals fail the first time and decide they're not going to do it again. Well, that means half of them lost, let's say, an average of $500 because they're paying for ads, they're paying for, maybe some of them are paying for website design, maybe some of them aren't, from Fiverr. And by the way, guys, another quick thing is, if you're expecting to make it big, investing in Fiverr, a $5 package, you got to be kidding yourself. Nobody ever was successful off of a $5 investment, okay? I just need to be clear about that, because that's just ridiculous when people think that they can make a lot of money off that. Well, let's split 25,000 in half. These are the people who decide to continue, right? And we divide this by 5 or by 2. That's 12,500 people that are potentially going to buy the course. Well, we take that 12,500 people and we do a conversion rate check on that. Let's say about 10% of the people convert. 10% of those people decide to go to the website and buy, right? So let's multiply that by 0.1. let's go ahead and clear this. So 12,500, multiply that by 0.1, right, which is 10%. And that's 1,250 people. It doesn't seem like a lot, right? But when you're selling a product for $500 and you're doing this on a monthly basis, okay, you make $625,000. So obviously it's profitable for these creators, and not to call them out, but these fake entrepreneurs to say, yeah, I make $1 million a month, because they do, but they're making it off of you. They're not making it off of a product that they sell to the world. And that's one of the things that I pride myself on, is that I run businesses outside of YouTube. And I've said this before, and those are the businesses that I rely on. I'm not going to sit here and rely on viewers to pay my bills for me. That is just ridiculous, right? And honestly, it's not even a good business model, because if you look at all my YouTube views and all my videos, not one video of mine has ever went viral, right? And so that's why it's very, very important, guys, to be careful who you're watching content from. On top of that, do not be sold by the fake ideas. Just because somebody has on their account that they're, making a certain amount, there could be a few parts to that. Either A, they're not making all the profits, right? If somebody's showing that they're making $100,000 in sales, well, you don't know what the profits are in the back end. That's number one. Number two, and by the way, they tend to be very, very low, because a lot of these guys who are doing the YouTube videos showing you how to run the $5 ad, those ads are not profitable. I'm telling you they're not, because I've ran hundreds and hundreds of ads, and it takes hundreds of dollars to actually see how successful an ad can become. That's why I tell people ads are not for everybody. If you can't play with a few $1,000s every single month for ads, you shouldn't start using ads. Even if you're using a search-based ad on Google, right? Forget Facebook. Even if you're using an ad like that, it's difficult. A lot of people have no idea what they're doing, and the price for attention is extremely high now, right? So we have to find areas where attention is lower, but that's, once again, a whole different conversation. So the first part is profits. They don't tell you what profits they're making, right? And that creates all this hype, this big jolt that you guys see here, this jolt from 43 all the way to 100% interest. This jolt of interest, we're talking about here fake numbers, right? Not showing true proof, not being fully authentic in terms of profits. The second thing is not being authentic about their experience, right? Because if you wanted to sell a course, right, that was for $500 or $1,000, well, the average person would be able to rationalize the cost of a $500 or $1,000 course by saying, wow, I can get all this person's information in just a few hours by taking this course. I'm all in, right? And that's actually what happens, and that's what customers think from a psychology standpoint. And but the sad truth is that these individuals might have a lot of experience if their results are real. And the truth is that no matter how many courses you take unless it's like I said, a how-to, step-by-step, click-by-click guide, you won't be able to replicate their results, because everybody's situation is variable. Everybody's situation is different, right? For example, I might create a store on how to sell skateboards and make $500,000 a month, but you might be selling water balloons. Do you guys see the difference there? The markets are not the same, the ads won't be the same, the copy won't be the same, the images, the products, and so on, right? So if I was to sit here and claim that I'm making a certain amount, well, people tend to believe it, right? Especially if you show them proof of image results. And when people tend to believe it and they buy this course thinking that they'll be able to do the same thing, they're being fooled, right? So the second thing is they're lying about their experience. They say, in 30 days, I was able to do this. I remember there's a famous YouTube video about Shopify, on Shopify, of this kid, or this guy, whatever you want to call him. He said, how I became successful in 30 days. I think that's what the video was titled. And the video was complete BS. And the reason why I say this is because at the time that video was posted, I had already sold my first company. And everything this guy was saying, I was completely not against, but I could not even in any way, not empathize, but I could not relate in any way. Because I had built a real business before this video had came out. And this video went viral. I had built a real business prior to it. I had sold the company, and I was going through an emotional whirlwind of, going, with sellers, trying to negotiate the sale of the company, building the company at the same time, making sure the sales don't kind of fall off just in case if the sale of the company doesn't go through, working on new products in the meantime, buying, physical product. And I couldn't relate to how easy this person was making it out to be. For me, I was extremely stressful. I was working in college. I was working on college at the same time. At that time, I had quit my jobs already because my business was doing well. But I was extremely stressed out. I was getting very, very few hours of sleep a night. The lucky 4 hours that I would make per night would be very, very rare. Sometimes I would pull all-nighters. In fact, between the week, on average, every week, I was pulling about 2 nights of all-nighters. It was bad, guys. And it was actually showing in my face. My family was telling me I look like a drug addict. But I wasn't on drugs. I was just putting all my effort into the business. And there wasn't enough manpower in that business. I didn't have the time to train somebody because I was at a critical point to my business. Now, thankfully, that business is over, honestly, and I'm past that. But the way this guy was making out his story to be, that it was just so simple and so easy, I couldn't relate to it because I had really built a business for real. And I had went through the whole process, and I couldn't relate at all. And at that point, I was aware, guys, to the fake reality that these people spew out with businesses. Where, I can make 40 grand in a month. And all I could say is, how can you make 40 grand in 1 month if you have no experience with ads? If you've never built a website in your life? Or maybe you've built a few but never had any kind of success, right? And you just watch a YouTube video for 5 months. How? Unless you have Elon Musk level IQ, I don't see it possible. I just don't. And the reality is most of us, when we talk about most of us, about 99% do not have an IQ level like that, right? There's only a few people on this earth that have that level IQ, that intelligence quotient, where they don't need experience. They could just figure it out, right? But let's be honest, I don't have that. I don't know if you guys do, but I definitely don't. And I was aware of the false reality that was being spewed. So either, and guys, make no mistake, to be successful on Shopify or any other business, because I dipped my feet in a lot of businesses, right? Especially e-commerce, but a lot of businesses, right? To be successful, either A, you have to have a very, very high IQ where you can catch on to things very, very quickly, or B, you have to have years and years of experience. It takes a lifetime of understanding to be able to do the things that people are talking about here on YouTube. When you see a video of some guy making 300 grand a month, right? After a year of experience, it's possible, but it's highly unlikely that all of that will A, be profit because the numbers could be falsified, or B, like I said, it takes years of experience to get to that point. Now, is this a discouraging video for everybody watching this? Absolutely not. Because you can cut down the time that it takes you to get somewhere. Now, I've told you guys this. I sold my business when I was in college. I started it when I was in college. How did I get so quickly to that point? It's because I focused on doing the work. I spent more hours every single day than people were at work. And I'll give you an example. Like I said, I would go, and I've said this story before, but this is something I'll repeat. I had college class started about 8 a.m., okay? Sometimes. It just depends on the day. But I'm giving you an example here. 8 a.m., we had psychology class in the morning, okay? I would go to bed, all right, at around 4 to 5 a.m. I would fall asleep. I would wake up a little bit later, sometimes even 3 a.m. if I was lucky, or 2 a.m., right? I would wake up at around 6:30, 7 o'clock, get ready for school, go to school, and if I was lucky enough where my teacher would allow me to take out my laptop, I would sit down and work on the business in class. If the teacher or the professor didn't want the laptop out, I would fall asleep in class. It was either one of the two. Okay? Because I was so tired. Once I got out of class, it would be from, if the class was 1 day a week, then it would be for 4 hours. If it was 2 days a week, then it would be 2 hours. We'd get out of class, and the second I would get out of class, it would be business, all business work, until the next morning, till 3, 4 a.m. to go to bed again. And that was my day. And so what I did was, the average person is working, let's say they go to work from 9 to 5, they spend an hour lunch, they spend, let's say, 2 hours talking with their employees, joking around, making jokes. I was all tuned in for 20 hours a day, roughly 19 hours, 18 hours. And this was every day. And you could ask, well, how were you able to do it? It was because I had an insatiable hunger to succeed in business. I didn't want to work for anybody else. And my goal wasn't to become a billionaire. My goal was to simply live a life where I didn't have to listen to anybody else giving me commands on a daily basis, working for somebody else, because I had already tried that. Prior to college, when I was in high school, I worked in 2 jobs. I worked JCPenney's, I worked at the restaurant. As I continued my business in the very beginning, I dropped the restaurant job and I worked at JCPenney's, and I stayed at JCPenney's. But my point here is, I put in the work. And when you put in the work and the average person is doing a fraction of what you're doing, that's like every 1 year that everybody else is working, you're working 3 years, right? In that 1 year period of time, you're working 3 times faster. You're getting 3 times more accomplished. You're learning 3 times faster. And so let's say it took me 3 years to build my business and sell it and become quote unquote successful, like everybody says, with these large numbers. Well, 3 years, if you do the math on that, it really equates to about 9 to 10 years of work, right? So can you be very successful very quickly? Yes, but it takes a long amount of time to sit there and do the actual work. If you're working 2 hours a day, I don't see how it's going to happen. That's just legitimate advice. Now, you could cut that curve. You could cut that time by getting good mentorship and getting good advice and things like that. And for me and my YouTube channel, we're going to just keep all the content free here on YouTube. But there are some courses that will help you kind of speed the track up. But like I said, you have to know what courses to take. You should watch out for any kind of course that says, promises a certain kind of number or uses a number as an advertising point. So any kind of course that says, 15% of my sales went up and now I'm making $1.5 million every 30 days. You got to be aware of courses like that, right? Because you can't teach a number. You can't teach a statistic. But what you can teach is a behavior, an action, how to build a banner, how to build a product page, how to do this, how to do photography, how to take pictures, how to edit photos for your e-commerce store, how to do all these things. All these things matter, guys, and they all have an effect, okay? So thank you guys for watching. This is just a little bit of a view of why so many people got scammed in the Shopify world. And hopefully you guys can see a better outlook on this, maybe a bird eye view on what I'm trying to say here, all right? I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out. Bye.